Stick around because in this video I will share with you how I managed to save more than $10,000 in 6 months on a working holiday visa in Australia. Okay, so 2 years ago I was doing my farm work in Tasmania and I had one big problem. I was broke. I traveled back home to Germany for 3 months and I didn't work during that time. And when I came back to Australia, I literally did not have any money. So I told myself in the next 6 months I will commit and I will save as much money as I can, but at least $10,000. I knew because I had to do 6 months farm work that I would be working for 6 months straight anyways. That was the plan. So if I wanted to save $10,000 in 6 months, that will be $1,600 each month or $400 each week. And I already knew from previous jobs and farm work that I could definitely do that. And I also knew that I could even save more than $400 each week. But I still wanted to play it a little bit down and just tell myself I'm doing $10,000 in the beginning and see where it will go. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I just want to quickly say, don't mind my wet hair. I just came back from work and I just had a quick shower because I'm always very dirty from my job. I'm doing gardening at the moment. So yeah, don't mind that. I just want to quickly say that. So if you want to save any money on your working holiday visa, I know it is a bit hard at the moment because of all the prices going up and stuff, but it's still doable. It might be just not as much as you thought. Before you even save any money, you need to figure out what you normally spend during the months. That's what I did as well. I just got a small overview of my expenses because otherwise you're just a little bit lost in like how much can you even save. I know this is super boring and not really interesting to do, but I guarantee you it will make the difference. And honestly, there's so many financial videos out there. There's so many experts. I'm not an expert. I'm just talking about my own experience. And I needed to learn it the really hard way over years and years and years of overspending and just not figuring out how I could be able to save so much money. But for example, I told myself I will be spending $100 to $150 each week on groceries because I already knew this is sort of what I normally would spend. And it's also a budget that I can stick to because it's not over the top and cutting back half of what I normally spend. I normally spend between 170 and 180, but it was a lot of stuff that I didn't really need it. So I really tried to figure out what I actually need to buy. What do I need for my breakfast, for my lunch, for my dinner? And then I cook everything by myself. And that obviously really helped as well. And I know $100 to $150 doesn't sound much, and it is not much, but that's only because I really figured out how I could save money. It was so important to me that I'm saving this money, that I made everything possible. Think about the government. The government always says we don't have a budget to build new roads or new schools, new pools, whatever. You should be the same. You should tell people, I'm sorry, I can't go to this party tonight, or I can't buy so many drinks tonight. Whatever it is, because it is not in your budget. Figure out your budget and stick to it. Most people spend most of their money on transportation and housing. So if you can cut down one of these two, then you're already very far ahead. And I know Australia is very expensive, housing is expensive, transport right now very expensive. Transport normally was relatively cheap, but since 3 weeks everything just hit the roof. So even that is now gone. Hopefully it will come back to like sort of a normal price, probably not. So you better get used to a few prices that are $250. But my point here is I've tried to figure out where I could live where it's cheaper. So I choose to go to Tasmania because Tasmania is way cheaper than the mainland in general. And so is housing. So your rent will be less than, for example, what it is in Cairns. Honestly, everyone wants to be in Cairns doing their farm work, and I get it because the weather is really nice and there are a lot of backpackers and you can have a great time up in Cairns. I totally get it. But if you really want to save money, that's not really the place to be because everything will be more expensive than it will be, for example, in Tasmania. Simply because no one wants to be in Tasmania in winter. So I was there from March until October, November 2024. And that's winter time, and it's pretty cold in Tasmania. And I had a lot of regrets during that time. But now looking back, I reckon I did a really, really good decision on that, because you get more jobs, you get more hours because no one wants to be down there. And also, the accommodation is cheaper. I only paid $100 for the first 3 months that I did down there, and then $150 in the next 3 months in a different house that I shared with two other girls. And in the end, I was even by myself. So I had a full house with an ocean view for myself for $150 each week. That's the housing point. Obviously, you want to try and have roommates, for example. I don't think it's really possible to have a house to yourself. It's just gonna be way too expensive. So you'll be probably having roommates or just other people that are working on the farm as well. That's pretty common when you do your farm work. I did that obviously as well. Second is the transport. So what I did with my friend and housemate was 1 week she would drive to the farm and the other week I would drive. So we don't need to take two cars when we work the same shifts, for example. Why not just take one car and save on fuel? I know this is not for everyone, and it's not always possible if you don't have the same shifts, and maybe you don't even have other roommates or housemates, whatever it is, or you just simply work alone on the farm. I know it can be really difficult, but just try and find your ways, because if you really want to save money, you have to find ways to cut down your expenses. And just as a little reminder, you don't need to do that forever. As I said, I did 6 or 7 months, and I knew it's not going to be forever. I just wanted to save a lot of money so I could go traveling, and I just have savings in my account that I could always rely on and just feel more free. That is really worth trying and save as much money as you can, because if you're staying, for example, for a year, then maybe just lock yourself in for 3 or 4 months and just try and save as much as you can during that time. And then you can just really go and enjoy yourself. Another really good tip is to look for specials in Coles and Woolies. This is actually making a big difference in your grocery bill. I had to figure this out by myself. Unfortunately, no one told me this in the beginning because I didn't really knew this from Germany either. But in Woolies and Coles, there are a lot of specials and they're rotating. So every 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes even each week, everything on special is changing. So even if you can't get something on special this week, it might be on special next week. So you don't even need to wait for a long time to get anything. It's such a rip-off if you buy, for example, coffee, cereal, or shampoo for the normal price if they're not on special, because you can get them up to half the price on special. So it's worth to keep an eye on things that you buy regularly anyways. So just wait until it comes back on special, and then maybe just buy 1 or 2 items instead of just one, so you don't need to constantly look out for it. It is also a good idea to have a fuel price app, because same thing, I had to learn this the hard way because I didn't know this when I came to Australia the first time, because the prices here can be very, very different from just one street to another. So on one street, you might have $1.60 for unleaded, and on the opposite side of the street, it might be $2.20. I mean, who's gonna go to the fuel station that has $2.20 anyways? But it can be so, so different from just within like a 5-minute drive. It is definitely worth to have a look before you get any fuel, because you could save a lot of money just by checking the app. Another way to save money would be also to work for accommodation in a hostel. A lot of people are doing that while they're trying to find a job. They just offer their help in a hostel because they're staying there anyways while they're trying to find a job or while they're just staying in the city. So you can, for example, do the beds or clean the kitchen, clean the toilets while you're staying in the hostel and you're not paying for your stay, or you just pay a fraction of the costs. Another thing that really helped me saving money was opening up a savings account with my bank, because a lot of banks are offering you 5% interest in the first 6 months, and after the 6 months you regularly get 2% interest, which is really, really good. So if you have a few grand sitting in there, you could actually make interest on your savings. And why I'm saying this is as well, I took out of every paycheck that I received a certain amount of money from my account to my savings account, and then I could not touch the savings. So I told myself, if it's in there, it's in there. So I'll figure out how much I need per week, leave it on my normal account, and the rest goes to the savings account. It's only for emergencies. So during that time, I got paid every 2 weeks, and that would have been normally around 2,000, 2,200. I've worked a lot of shifts during that time. So I had a good amount of money sitting in my normal account. So I normally took out around 1,800. So I left myself $400 in my normal account for 2 weeks. And it actually worked out pretty well. My rent already got deducted from my paycheck, so I really just needed money for groceries. I never went out for eating out or anything. I literally just worked and saved my money. I don't think I need to mention that, but you should really try to not go and eat out so much or order food. I see this all the time. People are complaining that they can't save money, but then they have a coffee to go in the morning, lunch for takeaway, and then they go out eating 2 or 3 times a week. This is not how you save good money. It was actually a bit easier for me because the farm that I worked on was very remote. So there was quite literally no temptation to buy anything. There was still something around 10 kilometers from the farm away, but I really tried to never go there. And I think I've been there 3 or 4 times in the 4 months that I've worked on that farm. But yeah, you can put up a goal in your savings account as well. I've put up a goal of $12,000 so I could go travel. And whenever I put money into my savings account, it came up and it showed me how much more I need to put in there until I can go traveling. What I also did was taking on every single shift that I could. If there was a shift because someone was sick or someone wanted to go away, I was like, here I am, take me, I want the shift. Even if I had to work 7, 8 days in a row, I did not care. I took every single shift. I was the first one to start at the job and the last one to finish a lot of times. So I managed to work between 45 hours and 55, sometimes even 60 hours. Yes, that was really difficult and I was very exhausted because it was a very exhausting and physical job as well. But I was so committed to do it that I did not care. I know this is very extreme and not for everyone, and that's totally fine. But I'm just here to tell you it is possible if you want to do it this way. But even if you do it less extreme, it will still save you money. You just need to find out what works for you and your current situation, because obviously not everyone is in my situation and I'm not in everyone else's situation. This is just what I experienced. And I just really hope I can give you some tips. Even if you just put away $300 or $400 each week, that's already enough to cover you for a little bit if you want to travel. But yeah, just really try and save your money, because otherwise it will mean you have to work all the time and you can never really go traveling. And that's not the purpose of work and travel. And I just also want to mention that I did not have a high paying job. I was on minimum wage at that time. It was $28 an hour. That is not a lot. And I still managed to save that amount of money. All right, these were my tips. I will be very keen to hear from you what your tips are, if you have any different ones. I really, really hope that I could help you with this video. I will see you next week in my next video. Bye!